Hello and welcome to the SCOUTCAST. My name is Joe.
My name is Seb.
My name is Karam.
Welcome everyone. Before I ask you what's coming up in the show, Seb, can I ask any Premier League players who are by chance watching to not get injured tonight? Because the last two videos I've done, I've wasted a hell of a lot of time researching lots of stats and data about the likes of Kdb and Barty, only for them to get injured. So everyone stay safe tonight. Seb, what's in the show?
Well, you've stolen top billing there, but we have a number of injuries. It was COVID recently, now it's injuries with the likes of Kdb and Barty out, who are pretty highly owned, some even triple captained Kdb. So we're going to look at who we can replace those with. Also, Liverpool, they're up, they're down. Are they mostly down? Salah maybe changed a few minds at the weekend, so we're going to have a look at them. It's my turn to pick a differential. I saw that you did rather well with Antonio last week, Joe. Cheeky one. Easiest differential pick we've had in a while, though, no?
Yeah, keep it simple. Pick the good guy.
And then, of course, we've got the usual fixtures to look over, our transfer plans and captaincy decisions to reveal or maybe decide.
So we do have some breaking news today, just before we came on air, just as I was carefully doing the notes for the show, that Frank Lampard has now departed Chelsea, and it's widely rumoured as we're recording that Thomas Tuchel is taking the top job there. So as we go, I'm sure Chelsea assets will get a mention, because obviously we have a new manager there. There could be a new manager bounce. Certain players may not be in favour, certain players may be in favour, so I'm sure they'll be mentioned during the show. But first of all, let's have a look at our game weeks. Now we've all done quite well. So we all went a bit double game week crazy. And Seb, you've come out top. 120 points, but it's -8, so 112. Pretty good. So good rank rise. For those listening to the podcast version, you have Martinez in goal. John Stones with 27 points. Got to be said there. Cancelo, Robertson, Soucek, De Bruyne triple captained, but with 24. Fernandez, Salah. That's pretty good though, considering my triple captain. But
when Fernandez and Salah didn't beat him, then it felt a bit better.
Yeah, Antonio 18 points, Watkins 8, and Bamford 2. And as is always the way when you get a good score in your first 11, you got pointed on the bench with Sanchez, Saka, just made them. Dyer got a couple of points. So you made so -8. So who was in, who was out, and how happy you were with the week?
I mean, it feels okay. So I know a lot of people did quite a bit better, especially people who maybe made slightly better transfer decisions than me. Mine were okay. Triple captain in KDB. I mean, I think it's been talked about enough, hasn't it? It feels like a good decision. Bad outcome. Fair enough. I'm a little bit worried about not maybe having it for Kane or someone later, because I would have liked more out of KDB, but can't complain too much, especially with Antonio and Stones. I think I was probably a bit lucky with Stones. A lot of people have him, but if I could pick between Stones and Diaz, I probably would have gone Diaz. I just went Stones for the money. And it was that his first goal for City or something ridiculous, and he scores 2 of them.
In 7 years.
Certainly his first brace since England played the Isle of Wight, whoever it was.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pretend I saw that coming.
Yeah.
And then my transfers, I had Salah, like I said I was going to do, Antonio in, Salah in, Son, Kane out. So, and then I did Sanchez out, not Sanchez, Steer to Martinez in goal.
Yeah.
So I probably actually, although I've come up in points, probably came down a little bit in overall planning for that, but that was okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm happy to have Salah going forward now. Realistically, could have bench boosted maybe, but you don't know that at the time.
To be honest, with most of the bench boosts I saw, a lot were basically Leeds players, and they got beaten, and they also might have had some bit of Southampton there as well, so they sort of just went with the bench boost. Whereas in the meantime, some of those single game week players, really outscored them, and anyone who had say Fulham assets as well did well. But yeah, some of the bench scores I saw were about 8 points or so. So you outscored that. So
just kept it safely on the bench. I think, funnily enough, that Sanchez finally does something for me when I bench him and use Martinez. But I'm happy with that going forward.
Yeah.
And Saka benched over Soucek. In hindsight, not great, but I'd take Soucek's 2 fixtures over Saka's. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk a bit about Soucek in a little while.
Definitely,
but I know he's maybe been affected by Antonio, or I think more likely the 5 at the back or 4 at the back formation. But hey, going forward, I was happy to make that call.
Excellent. So now I am 1 point behind on that one. So I got 119, 8 points with a hit, 8-point hit. So I got 111. I had Edison in goal, Justin, Stones, Kufal, and then Soucek, Mane, Fernandez, Salah, who I triple captained for 12 points, Antonio 18, Vardy, who's now injured, and Bamford. And on my bench, I only had 2 points, so I feel that's a victory for not bench boosting. But so basically, the tale of my game week is that from last week, I was saying I was keen to get Antonio in for Calvert-Lewin, and I was going to take a hit to get a Man City defender in. I couldn't do that and play Bamford, who I wanted to against Brighton. But I could get Edison in. So I thought, before I wildcard again soon, ahead of future doubles, I'll just roll with Man City's goalkeeper for 3 or 4 game weeks and see how that goes. And so I'm quite happy with that.
I mean, your defence and goalkeeper is ridiculous. Really, you can't complain. Then that's
well, yeah.
Great shouts.
I think. I'll come to the sort of. Or maybe I should have done that differently in a moment. But at the end of this, what did we remember in fantasy football? I remember I remember captaining Wayne Rooney in a double game week where he just scored 4, 5, 6 goals. Was it? It was just ridiculous amount of goals. I remember getting Laporte in last season for a double game week, and this season, what will be remembered for this? People might get 90, 80, 150, whatever, but they're always going to say, I had John Stones in for 27 points to score his first brace ever for City and first goal for them.
We are always there for the surface in the double game weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's memories. We're making memories here. And this will be...
I'm winning mini leagues. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm winning memory mini leagues in my head.
Nice.
With John Stones. I think that's the thing. And I think that's what this game will be remembered for. So, they're the good bits. So I'm at a -4. Double game week fever hit me Saturday morning. And I thought, well, maybe I should just take another hit. So I got Kane out for Vardy, which could have been amazing. And not just for the double game week, but coming up. Vardy's fixtures, as I spent ages researching for the Sky video last week, were amazing. He's much better away. He had really great fixtures. The defences were absolutely ideal for Vardy. He was captainable for coming up. Got to be in it to win it. I went for that. Didn't work out. And then I just thought, well, maybe I should just triple captain Salah. I thought, Liverpool are going to come good soon. They are good. And, hey presto, he gets his brace in the FA Cup several days after I needed him to score a brace. So that was the tale of my game week. He got to be in it to win it. I went double game week mad. I'm very happy I did, and I would have done it again. And I came out with it okay, really. So yeah, went up to about 600k from just inside the top million. So I'm in a sort of a new bracket of rankings. Yeah. So my aim now is to sort of push up a bit further.
I mean, it sounds like you're kind of just slowly making a little headway. There could have been some better choices in there, but you hit a good score. You've got some decent players going forward. Vardy would have been great going forward. There's nothing you can do about that. That was beautiful.
I was about 20 points net up, I think.
Nice.
But I think as when we talk to Karam, not about his own team, but when he tells us about other teams, they had particularly smooth weeks. But Karam, you did well. You probably don't think you did when you look at some of the other scores, but I think you did pretty well. So you got 102, but you also took 8 points, so just under the 100 mark, but still pretty good. You have Martinez in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Kufal, Diaz. So lots of points there. Rashford, Soucek, Fernandez, De Bruyne.
No points there.
No, De Bruyne, Salah. So nothing on the midfield really. Antonio in and Bamford. Yeah. And then on your bench, not much really. Holding got you a clean sheet. But so yeah, who was in and who was out for that hit then?
Yeah. So people John Stones will be my Antonio this game week. I remember owning him just specifically for the Norwich game last season, and he came in this game week and he's absolutely hero. He was one of the transfers in. I took a -8, which looked like the new free transfer, or -4. Everybody took a hit pretty much.
Yeah.
I took out Calvert-Lewin and I took out Son for Salah and Antonio. And then just before the deadline, I was thinking, okay, I don't want to miss out on Martinez. So I took out Meslier without knowing that he had his absence for COVID, I think.
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my -8 ended up with a net of 13 points. So very, very delighted with that. And now I have Martinez, finally. He will not butter my rank anymore. So that's all right. I'm very disappointed with my midfield. I've expected way more, especially from KDB, who I just decided not to captain him from the beginning. And instead the TC was very, very decent option, but as Sip said, I think it wasn't a bad outcome. Rashford was the one that I was relying on, was my differential. Got absolutely nothing.
The FA Cup again, Rashford and Fernandes.
Where are the points? Salah scored.
Too late.
Rashford, one game late.
If ever there was a good example of how you can do your homework, make good decisions, and it doesn't pay off, if you had those 3 players, that's what, 26 points or something between the 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what is okay for me is that the fact that I did not use any chip. And I netted 132 points over the last 2 game weeks, which I imagine many people got it in just the double game week. But 7 my free hit and the bench boost and the triple captain. Hopefully I can maximize it later on, as we spoke at the last SCOUTCAST, and I can make up those points that I got, which I think there are not many. A lot of free hits flopped, and the bench boosts were pretty much, a lot of them included Southampton and Leeds. So we move on around the 870,000.
I didn't see anything this week that made me think, oh, I've massively missed out on using a bench boost. I used a triple captain or a wild card like some people did. I think maybe, and this may be the case when I wild card later, to be fair as well, because people have got time to plan. But I think you could get all the key players in place no matter kind of what you did with your strategy. So it was just about making a little bit of ground. I think all of us came out net on our moves, and we moved up, right? I think we all moved up ranks, so that's decent. Just making that ground nice and slowly. And I think the silly thing is, all the big players we were coveting actually aren't the ones that really returned. You know, Fernandes, De Bruyne, Salah. Okay, some people brought in Antonio. There's the Stones luck. But bizarrely, it was some of the smaller ones.
Well,
and there's not a huge amount you can do about that.
I was petrified going into this without De Bruyne. And one of those things that I've become a bit better at over the years is that fear of missing out. And although while I was really worried about not owning De Bruyne, I didn't get him in because I was worried. It didn't quite fit with what I wanted to do, so I just didn't. And I knew I had.
So you're saying you like avoided the fear, but just went with the plan, or what?
I just went with my plan. I knew I had double City defence. I knew I was. I did not feel comfortable enough to captain De Bruyne, and it would have been a massive shield move. And I did plan to get De Bruyne in this week if he was fit for Game Week 20. But so and I think that's a lesson perhaps for everyone as well. So everyone's worried. You know, non-Salah owners are always worried. Non-KDB owners are always worried. Non-Kane and Son owners are always worried. And it's okay to miss out for a game or two. And then you can.
The form is always sort of a part of our game. Like to me, I've got away with no Salah for some time, but. Although I recognize that Salah had only 1 goal against United in 4 seasons or so far, so I thought it's Burnley plus 2 points really, but I expected him to score against Burnley, and that's why I just could not go with in the double game week where people are TCing him without having him, if at the cost of Son. So
I've got a top tip for people who frequent the FPL community on Twitter and do not own a particular player. And they were a bit worried during a double game week when they had 2 home favourable fixtures. Go to the mute section and mute them. So any tweets with their mention, you will never see.
Yeah, so you'll never see Salah scored.
I muted De Bruyne and KDB. As it transpired, I would have been quite happy to hear about his failure. And it was quite nice, really, because I didn't have that fear of like having all those messages coming and saying, "Hey, look at me with my 80 points from De Bruyne triple captaincy," and so that's a top tip for avoiding the fear.
You know, with KDB, not so much the triple captain, but the injury taking him out of the next 3 is where I feel robbed. Those 3 fixtures were That's where I was making my points. But people didn't have him there.
Yeah, it's like with Vardy with me. We'll move on to the topics in a sec, but I'm going to ask Karam a couple of things. One about the rough with the smooth, but also we've got some news about the Champions League game as well. So firstly, the rough with the smooths. And I understand that my Sky podcast and video co-host Luke is topping the bill amongst the smooth managers.
Yeah. I'm leaving him until the end because this
okay.
By far one of the most exciting smooths. But let's just start with the roughs, which I started actually because a lot of people have done really well and triple figures most of the time. But let's just start with Pookie Party 3. He said awful for me. Cancelo benched the first game, Salah in the second, 2 injuries in his team. And Guessa with 8 points is even on the bench. And most importantly, most frustrating for him was Captain Vardy blank. And I probably lost him as well for the next game week. Mr. O'Connell, another rough, 69 points net, lowest score I've seen anywhere. No goals for me, more than 100k. He lost in his ranking. He didn't even bother to check it after the game week. So I'm not sure if he saw it until now or not.
Muted FPL for...
Exactly.
That's another good advice to do. If you're having a terrible game week, just mute it and move on. Watch something on TV.
Yeah. One more rough before we go to the smooth. A squishy potato, hope I pronounce it correctly. He transferred out Matt Target, 18, Kane, 9, and Bowen, 11. So that's about 38 points out. However, he got them sort of back by Sterling, 11, Antonio, 18, and Cancelo, 8. So he broke even, but he lost the points hit. Which it's a little bit frustrating when you transfer out like someone who holds Bowen and Target, but looking at the transfers, it made sense. Someone in the middle, I actually thought he's a rough and a smooth. It's smooth because he scored 127 points, 123 net after a 4 points hit, but his bench boost was Meslier, 0, Bellerin, 0, Zuma, 0, and Bamford, 2. So he didn't actually, he just wasted it. He burned it, literally.
But he's got 120?
23 net, So amazing game week still for him. But of course, the bench boost could have been way better. Smooth. Red lighting. He captained John Stones, 54 points. Took an 8-point
I didn't notice that. What?
Yeah, we didn't know before. Here we go. Took another. On top of this, he took an 8 points hit. He replaced Calvert-Lewin, nothing. Podence, nothing. And Reece James with only 1 point. For Antonio, 18. Gundogan, 18. And Gundogan and Cancelo, 8. So immediate gain of 35 points. And he has now a much better looking team for sure. Scored 155 points. And moved up over 1 million places, and he's now just inside the 700k.
And just getting all of those players out, getting those ones with huge scores in. That's now talk about making memories. He is I challenge him to come up with a better game week in the next decade than that. That's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Missouri Martin, my best game week in 10 years of playing FPL, 167 points -4, with a bench boost of 35 points, including, look at this, including a captain fail in Salah. But big points from Stones, Diaz, Antonio, Matt Target. He game week rank of 529th. Brilliant. Wow. Of course, now we go to Luke. Smooth. He just fancied a -20. Easy.
That's so Luke.
Because so Luke. So he felt that. So what he did, he took out Trent, 8 points, Mitchell, 0, Steer, 0, Adams, 2, and Chris Wood for 4 points, and Bissouma, 1 point. So all of them combined, 15 points. He brought in John Stones. That's it. Job done. Do I have to mention the rest? Ariola, 5. Kuchik, 4, Antonio, 18, Watkins, 8, Konza, 9. All of them scored 67 points. So a net gain of 52 points. Of course, you take out the 20. He's 32 points up in the deal.
No, he's 52 points up, isn't he?
67 minus 15. So that's 52 from the players in and out.
Oh, yeah.
Without considering the hits.
That's still pretty amazing.
45. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Wow. Okay, Karam. Now, I am, for my sins,
Yeah.
not playing the Champions League fantasy football game. I can't get my head around it. I can't get my head around playing another game other than FPL and Sky.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. And watching TV and maintaining a family. But you are a much better man than me, and you are playing it. So tell us about the Champions League game.
Yeah. So Champions League has partnered with Fantasy Football Scout, and of course you can play the game, start the next phase, which is on the 16th of February. So even if you didn't play before, you can still sign up to the game and play for a PlayStation 5 up for grabs every match day. And of course, we have plus football shares and more of prizes as well. The overall winner, which I imagine you would have been playing from the beginning, but the overall winner will also get a Champions League 2022 final tickets. I want those in my life. More of that about the game and the content will be of course on the Fantasy Football Scout website to help you with the picks every game week and every match day. The system of the game is a little bit different than FPL. You have the flexibility to put players in from the bench. You change the captaincy between the match days. So it's a bit more flexible, but all the rules are pretty simple. And to sign up, there will be a link in the description below the video. You can check it out and sign up.
Okay, well, I'll be missing out. So, right, I'm going to try and get involved. I'm going to free up some time, move the family out.
You can triple Captain John Stones there.
And I'm going to Captain John Stones in every format of every fantasy game every week, just in case he scores a brace again. Let's move on to some of the topics that the community have been asking about. Karam, again, we'll get you to introduce this one. This is a guy I don't own, and I muted, and I perhaps shouldn't have done. But it's all about
happy days.
KDB's injury. Just for the benefit of those watching, I've got some stats up on the screen, and I'll talk about them in a moment after you've introduced the bit, Karam. But they relate to De Bruyne over the last 4 game weeks. So this is sort of what we're missing out on because he's now injured. So KDB is injured. What's this about?
KDB is out, and potential return might be somewhere around game week 25. So that's a lot of game weeks. So of course, FPL managers have a big decision to make. Look for replacements, and a lot of discussion has been around who should we replace KDB with, whether it's from the Man City team itself, we will speak about that, or from elsewhere. The next 3, however, for City are still really good from an attacking perspective. So who should we target from City if we want to look for someone from them? But also we have some community questions about that. So THFC for life, with KDB out, who is the best alternative? And it's a City midfielder like Gundogan is the best to target. Sydney Jules is asking, I've brought in Gundogan already, but is Son another pick that is also worth bringing in as well? FPL John is asking, is it reasonable to leave a huge chunk of cash in the bank when downgrading KDB to somebody else? And a lot of more of that. Of course, we have now some stats on the screen. I will start with you, Seb. You had KDB, and so am I. So of course we have to look for replacements. So what do you think of the replacements?
So I've got to replace him just like you and many others. I think there's a few ways to tackle this one. We had a question there about, should I leave loads of money in the bank? It feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? It feels like you need your money on the pitch working for you. Yeah. So go to Sterling, go to Mane, easy, right? I don't think so. Players are priced that reason at the beginning of the season, but so much changes. Look, my strike force right now are all under 7 million. So I wouldn't be stressed about using the money. Maybe you can use it later. Maybe you can bring in a Kane or upgrade a defence. Right now, it's just about picking the best one-to-one replacement for me, unless you're looking at a combination of moves. So then the question becomes, and Joe, you mentioned this beforehand, I feel like I just need to go to City, right? So if I've got KDB, I should go to another City player. We know their fixtures are great. But is that even the best option still? Because KDB is the City man. We weren't considering these other guys before KDB, or at least only with him. So I wonder if that's the first thing to tackle. I think you had, I'm not sure if it's up on the screen yet, Joe, but I think you had some stats on other City players, did you?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, what these are for the last 4 game weeks. Just before I move on to those, I'll just say the stats we've got up on screen at the moment are De Bruyne last 4 game weeks. So this is what we're missing out on. And the key things there are chances created 12, 16 goal attempts, expected to have been involved in 3 goals. He's had 3 assists. What you're losing is a guy that shoots a lot. You're missing a guy that creates a lot and is expected to be involved a lot. So that's a bigger ask for any team to go without.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these are the stripping out KDB stats for Man City last 4 game weeks. And this shows sort of who is being expected to be involved in goals. So Gundogan is the top. He's expected to be involved in 2.3 goals. That's more than any other City asset. He's had 6 chances created, 15 goal attempts. So not as good as KDB, but he's certainly shooting and he's certainly creating chances. Phil Foden, will he ever play? But nevertheless, he's got created 12 chances, 10 goal attempts. Expected involved in just below a couple of goals. And then you're moving a bit down a bit. You've got Sterling, just 4 chances created, 7 goal attempts. And then further, I mean, this highlights why we got lucky as Stones owners. 3 goal attempts in the last 4, and he happened to score with 2 of them. So he's there. Cancelo, always interesting. 5 chances created, 6 goal attempts. But I guess it's maybe what you're going to come to is you don't need to spend big to get some creativity and goal threat within City ranks if you wanted to go that way as a replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the way City are going to line up, and Karam, you can keep me in check here. They're losing KDB, who was playing in that kind of number 10, maybe, in a 3 midfield sort of system. We would expect Bernardo Silva to drop into that role. Gundogan, hopefully, to continue what he's doing, but we'll maybe come to how he's been playing and why a bit later. And then someone on the right, maybe that's Mahrez, maybe a bit more consistently, which I haven't seen mentioned too much. We know he's a risk, but if his playing time goes up, his numbers per minute are not bad at all. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I think now without KDB, we have, to me, it looks like we have only 2 options to play in the middle. And one of them was tested in the cup game, which is Phil Foden. Of course, many people are waiting for his start, which I think he might get some starts in the middle because he had that flexibility to pop in when the play is on the wings, like pretty much the assist from Cancelo. I think that Foden might get more starts. It can open up for him. However, I still think that amongst the other attacker, Gundogan would be probably my pick. And it's not just a reaction to his role in the double game. It's where he plays and how he's involved in the game. And he came on as a sub in the cup game, and he was pretty much in the box, and he assisted for Torres' goal. So someone at 5.5 on pens, he's now our penalty taker. And on some free kicks, I know Sterling took the one on the edge of the box. I think Gundogan was out at that moment, but certainly Gundogan is involved in the free kicks. I think he's a good option. He can be used as a chain enabler if you need to upgrade or shift the money up front. If you're looking for a Brighton game next game week or so. So to me, statistically, Gundogan is expected to be involved in 2.31. Goal attempts is 15, 5 more than Foden, 8 more than Sterling. That's incredible. Plus, he has a lot of chances created with 6. So to me, if Gundogan was a premium pick, we'll probably be not talking a lot about him. It's like he's 5.5. Come on, and he could be someone that he can really be someone. However, I still have a few because he is 5.5. I would rather spend this exact money at the back. I would get a double defense, a triple defense. I know I'm not the best at the triple ups. Looking at the history early in the season. But to me, the next 3 screaming 3 clean sheets, and we probably will grind 1-0 in the next 3 because we will be lacking a lot of that creativity that Kdb was offering. And surely, if we are running 1-0 games, then the defense will grab all the BBS, and we know Cancelo is just extremely good at creativity as well. So to me, if you look for a Man City midfielder, Man City attack in general, it would be Gundogan. But to me, I'm more lean towards investing at the back and push the money somewhere else. Like if you, of course, the obvious moves. If you don't have Son and Fernandez for some reason, then I think they are the priority.
I mean, as a City fan, what do you think realistically will happen with Gundogan with KDB out? So we've had a few comments in the chat about that.
Yeah, it's really difficult to predict what's going to happen because we haven't had a good sample to watch Gundogan without KDB. But to me, when he was involved in 20 minutes in the cup, he didn't look like I'm gonna sit deep. I think it might boost his chances to be more involved because we will be lacking a lot of the attacking potential. So Pep will have to find a way to put more people in the box, to put more people into attack because we need to score goals. So this actually might mean that just replace KDB with a Bernardo or a Foden and allow Gundogan to play in the same role he's been doing it. I think a couple of weeks ago, also Pep mentioned in the press conference that he's planning to use Gundogan in a false nine position, and he will do it. So I'm not.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Do you think so?
Well,
Jesus is back. He used KDB there first. We've seen Torres and Sterling there.
Well, we've seen against Chelsea.
From midfield.
We've seen against Chelsea. KDB started in the 11 as a false nine, but actually, who was there was Gundogan. He scored the first goal from being a striker in a striker position, so he has the ability to do that. But who knows what's in Pep's brain? So
I was just going to say because he got penalties in his locker because I was looking at the latest set piece table on Fantasy Football Scout. So obviously De Bruyne is top choice, but we've got Aguero when he's on the pitch. It would be second choice behind KDB according to the table so far. But then Gundogan, and then you've got this sort of almost rounds of Mahrez, Sterling, Jesus, and it's been unclear. But is Gundogan definitely on penalties? You would say because Aguero's out, so.
It's a funny story because in the whole period where KDB was taking penalties, Aguero was never been on the pitch. So we don't actually know who is on paper ahead of KDB. But to me, I would take a risk to fund it and say that Gundogan is definitely on him. I remember the penalty in which Sterling has missed. I think KDB was so tired before he does his muscular.
He couldn't even kick a ball.
Yeah, exactly. But there was a talk that he gave the penalty to Gundogan and said, "I don't want to take it, shoot it." But then Sterling stepped in and he wanted it. And Gundogan scored the last one. So I cannot see anybody else who's taken KDB out, Aguero out, Sterling missed the penalty. Surely it's gonna be Gundogan.
So I'd like to add to some of that if I may. Cheers for that. There was a lot to work through. It's really good. It's good having a City fan here this week. But so I think really, we know Pep can rotate a lot, but the lineup I would expect is striker, whoever, let's say Jesus, right hand side Sterling, left Foden. I don't think Foden has started, or he's only started one in the middle all season. He really does seem to be, even when KDB is out, he seems to be on that left. We know Gundogan has been put in that silver role and has even been moved a bit more advanced. I've got some stats on that in a moment.
Yeah.
We'll expect Rodri or Fernandinho to play there, especially in these easier fixtures. He won't play both. And then Bernardo Silva probably taking the De Bruyne role, we would think. Yeah. So out of all of those options, sure, you've got Sterling, but his stats don't stack up. If he wasn't 12 million, 11 million, I wouldn't consider him. I think Gundogan is the obvious one. Foden per minute looks better. But the key is per minute. We don't know when he's randomly going to get a rest.
Yeah.
Gundogan on penalties looks good. The last thing I'd want to check on Gundogan for me is him suddenly coming out of nowhere and becoming this attacking option. So I had a look at, and I don't think you've got these, Joe, so I'm going to do my best to describe some again.
Describe what I'm looking at.
What I'm not looking at. Is something I'll get better at. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Gundogan in the last couple of matches, which obviously includes the match where he was subbed off. KDB was subbed off and we had Gundogan potentially taking up even more an attacking role. We are seeing a lot of touches on the left-hand side of the pitch, which makes sense with where he's lining up, and a lot coming into the box. If we go earlier in the season, we are seeing almost the exact same heat map on the left and deep, but almost no touches in the box at all. And then the further we go back in the season, we're maybe seeing this role change that Gundogan had, and it looks a very similar story. The thing to highlight here is, and this was pointed out by someone else to me on Twitter, I didn't discover this, so credit to them, is the Kyle Walker and João Cancelo combination, where, and obviously Walker went off in the Villa game as well. When Cancelo is on the left, we are possibly seeing Gundogan getting fewer touches further forward and fewer in the box, because we know Cancelo has that creative role, and I think he might be taking some of those positions. So if Kyle Walker is out and Cancelo's right back, we don't have De Bruyne, we have Gundogan, I'd be real confident about Gundogan. The only thing for me is if Cancelo is starting on the left, there might be a little bit of fighting for space on that, that creative late runs into the box area. Maybe not enough to stop you, but something to keep in mind.
Okay.
There's the thing we have to keep in mind with Gundogan, that of course we will have to set some expectation from a 5.5 pick at the end of the day. So we might not necessarily see him really acting as a striker or as a proper KDB placement. But at 5.5 with all the things in his pocket, then he is worth a shot. But I do agree. I didn't notice enough the Cancelo when Cancelo was on the left, but certainly when the most majority of the game was when after, of course, Walker went off, he looked really involved, and Cancelo was himself, just speaking about him, he was terrifying. What was the word? Yeah, terrifying in both wings, left, right. He could have had hold, and I feel for the managers. I feel for the manager because they have been waiting for his hold for a long time. I see it coming very soon.
Yeah, at some point that man's getting a brace. You mentioned 3 City defenders. Is that something you take a hit for? Because obviously anyone who wants to do that is probably going to have to. I doubt they've got 2 transfers saved up.
The next 3 might justify it.
And obviously it would make it hard to get KDB back as well.
Yeah. The thing is, you have always the option to get him next week for free, but I'm sure by next week you will have the Vardy to Kane or somebody else to somebody else. So if you really think that the next 3 will be clean sheets and a lot of bonus points, I think it depends on who you take out as well. If you take out I don't know, a Balbuena or a Lewis or Tillman, then I think it's justifiable. Yeah, I
mean, I've got double City defence at the moment with Ederson and Stones, and I wouldn't have any problem for the next few weeks. For the next 3, I'll put those fixtures up again, because City have got West Brom, Sheffield United and Burnley in the next 3, and that looks great for clean sheets. So I wouldn't have a problem the next 3. Having a triple up on the City defence. Then they have Liverpool and Tottenham, so then I would feel a bit uncomfortable about that, and I feel a bit uncomfortable having 2 for those 2 fixtures. I mean, I think if I own KDB and I wanted to go to City, I would probably get Gundogan in. I've been told not to pronounce the last G in the live chat, so it's Gundogan. So hopefully I've got that right. Hopefully, my Turkish friends.
I'm pretty sure I said Cancelo and Cancelo in the same sentence. So pick your pronunciations.
We are a pronunciation minefield and have been over the years. So we're learning every week. But I would actually go elsewhere, and I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't muddle it up. I just think Son is the best midfielder I don't own. So if I had KDB, I would just switch him to Son there. And I've got some stats up on the screen here. This is last 4 matches. Son is absolutely top for big chances total. His expected goal involvement, just put KDB's back up again, is 2.85 was KDB. Son is just behind there at 2.59. So he's in the same kind of ballpark there. He's just scored a goal, so perhaps unfortunate to score just 1 goal. He's had 8 shots inside the box, 4 on target, and a goal attempt in the box every 44 minutes. So Son would be my man there. Aubameyang has some kind of personal issue. He would be a tempter if you wanted to go for a maverick move. But his expected goal involvement the last 4 has been 2.88. But I don't know what this personal reason is. Arteta's not saying. So it's, doubts wouldn't bother there. But in 4th place is Gundogan, with 3 big chances in total, and expected goal involvement of 2.31. So that proves that Gundogan is the one to get in the City midfield if you're going that route. For me, if you don't own Son, go for him. There are some other options as well. Harvey Barnes at Leicester, I would have said yes if Vardy was around. Vardy's role is sort of evolving as he gets older, I think. Maybe he's drawing defenders away, he's providing more chances for Maddison, more opportunities for Maddison and Barnes to score. And that's proving what you don't need the underlying stats there. You just watch the matches and you can just see Maddison and Barnes getting more chances and taking them. Bruno
Worth
Fernandes
noting on Barnes that Rodgers said today that he doesn't see him playing striker.
No, he's not.
Yeah, more of a Perez role, I think. So,
yeah.
Perez could be.
Yeah, or Iheanacho will just take it. And meanwhile, Salah and Fernandes are up there in terms of the top midfielders for big chances. And Salah, as we saw, has scored a brace against Manchester United in the Cup. So I own Salah. He's not going anywhere for me. I guess many of those might be thinking of moving Salah on, but we'll come to that a bit later. That's another topic a bit later in the show.
So just to round that off for you, I was having a look at a lot of the players you've got there. Just had an extended look and was interested to see how people have done over the season compared to recently, because we've seen Gundogan come from basically nowhere. So I grabbed Mane, Grealish, Son, Rashford, Harvey Barnes, James Rodriguez, Mason Mount, Gundogan, Foden, Maddison, Bernardo Silva, and Hakeem Ziyech as probably my long list of players that I could put in that slot. Now, some of those, we aren't that interested. They maybe haven't played much recently. But I think it's interesting to note that over this whole season, Mane, for expected goal involvement, Mane, Grealish, Son, Rashford come out as my top four. In the last 6, that is Son, Gundogan comes into there, Mane and Grealish. And in the last 4, it is Son, Barnes, Gundogan and Foden comes into there. So that maybe gives you an idea of how people have done over the season and then how form has started to come into it.
Now that's really interesting. Because
there's one name I said every single time.
It shows, Son is there.
Yep.
He's there every time. Short term, medium term, long term. He's got that quality. He doesn't need that many big chances, but he does take them. But he happens to have lots of big chances as well. He would be the one for me. If I didn't have a Vardy issue at the moment, I would be tempted to get Son in for Mane, who I own at the moment. And that is a move I'm contemplating next week anyway. So that's something for next week's show.
I think the other thing that shows is the drop-off in Mane. I will probably come to that when we talk about Liverpool. But he goes from top to not appearing in that top 4.
Yeah, I got him in as a sort of a differential. You go for these moves sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. So it may well work out over the next one in his final match for me. But
one thing I have to point out that I can't resist is Maddison's goals recently. Off the top of my head, he has an XG of 1.6 and has scored 6 goals. Yeah. He could absolutely keep that up. XG is a long-term thing, variance is high.
He's always been like that. He's always been quite straight.
I think he's probably started taking probably longer shots, you reckon, in the past. He's maybe come a bit closer to goal, so maybe some bigger chances. Yeah. But I would expect regression there. Maybe it's not next match, because if you asked me 2 matches ago, I'd tell you he was going to regress, and he scored 2 more goals.
Leicester without Vardy doesn't worry me, I wouldn't say more, but it would concern me more about investing in them more than City without KDB. I just think Barty is making it tick, making it all happen for their attacking midfielders.
You made a good point about I think Vardy arguably helped Maddison score that goal of the weekend by pulling away in the week, pulling away, and Maddison was there at the far post. Even without scoring goals himself, they're missing that Vardy role.
Maybe as he gets older, that's increasingly will be his role. He won't be, the cheeky young whippersnapper running from the midway point to score the goal. He'll be the guy just distracting everyone, and then Harvey Barnes just slips a couple of goals in. But yeah, we've spoken about Vardy. Let's bring Vardy up then. So the next topic really. It particularly concerns me as a Vardy owner. So the news broke conveniently about an hour after I'd recorded the Sky video with Luke last week. So anyway, Brendan Rodgers, Jamie Vardy will be out for a few weeks. We've been managing him over these number of months and he's been fantastic. But we have a window now that allows him to have an operation on his hernia, which I neglected to tell you about before. Then he'll be back. So cheers, mate. That probably would explain why Barty has not been as attacking himself as you would like, and some of the shots he's taken haven't been that high of quality. But as we said, he's had this different role within the team, which has helped his teammates. So community questions, lots last time, but AFSR was among many others that says that Kane looks the obvious pick but are there other options? So for me, it's a tricky one. I am going to do the completely obvious thing, and in a way, the decision's been taken out of my hands. I took Kane out for Vardy for the double game week. I want Kane back. I have the money to get Kane back for Vardy. I do want a premium forward structure at the moment. And I think Harry Kane is the best to get in, and I'm going to get him in. That's what I'm going to do. And I've got some stats to put up, which is the best forwards over the last 4 matches, and it looks at expected goal involvement and all sorts of other things there. So we've got top for expected goal involvement is Kane with 2.4 goals. Cavani is second with 2.35. I could be tempted if I was a different kind of person. Lacazette is still there, but I feel with Arsenal's fixtures and with doubts over Aubameyang's starts, I think the Arsenal time might have gone for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. I think those fixtures were a big part. The thing with last 4, it's always good for form. Yeah. But if you've played 4 bottom of the half teams, you're going to appear up there.
And you've got to look at what's happening coming up. I just think Kane has got mixed fixtures coming up, but he is Harry Kane. And he's got some good fixtures as well. He's got West Brom and Brighton coming up.
They are captainable fixtures.
Very captainable fixtures.
Brighton and West Brom.
I would argue there aren't great options in 21 outside of the Spurs options.
No,
they're probably your first choice.
Yeah, so I mean, Kane. I want to get Kane and Son in over the next couple of game weeks, and this is why I'm going to do it. There's some other options there.
The only thing for me there. Oh, sorry, Joe. You might have been.
I was just going to go through just some of those other names there, and but yeah, Abraham. We don't know whether he's going to get a start under the new management, but if he does, he is an option at 7.2 for Chelsea. Firmino there. If we think Liverpool, people just aren't going to go there. I don't think. But if you, Bamford is interesting. He's still there. He's playing Newcastle. 3 big chances. Expected to be involved in a couple of goals. Arguably been unfortunate. He does need a few chances to score, but nevertheless, I'm hoping, and I'm sure Seb as a Leeds fan will agree. I'm hoping that people will just forget all about Leeds when they play Newcastle, because I'm going to play Dallas and Bamford. I'm hoping for points bonanza there. But yeah, Seb, what do you think? Bamford is actually, if you don't own Bamford, good.
It might be a captain option.
Oh, I mean, there's probably a couple ahead on the list for me, but it's tempting. We put 5 past them last time we played. We're not playing on the Elland Road pitch anymore. We've got a couple of away games, and then it's worth noting for the Everton match, our first home game in a couple of weeks' time, the pitch has been relayed this week, so it won't be the mess it was. I think what had happened is it's not been relayed in quite a few years. I think it was due for this summer, but obviously with circumstances we couldn't do it, and then it snowed, and I think the thing just fell apart. And Brighton did a good job too. We played poorly, a number of reasons, but I think when we come back to play Everton, provided that pitch bed's in, we don't need to worry about it again. And even then, there's 2 away games until then, so I would be happy that Bamford will be up to racking.
It was like watching the Damn United, wasn't it? It was like watching a mid-70s rainy night, 1974, with like lots of people.
Bielsa finally changed his ways. He's going back to dirty Leeds.
Lots of blokes hacking at each other in a ploughed field. But yeah, luckily it was coincided when Brighton were visiting. Phew. But yeah, some of those other options there. Antonio has done ever so well in the double game week. He's expected to be involved in a couple of goals. He's had a couple of big chances, but he's only had 2 starts. You see, so what's happening there is we're seeing the sort of emergence of Antonio. If he can stay fit, great option. And Watkins as well, not to be forgotten, is. I think he's doing better with Barkley. I was reading. It looks that way anyway. That when Barkley's in the team, it helps Watkins. And I'm going to mention Connolly at Brighton, and I know not been going to go into it, but it's one of those names that when you do these tables, you just go like, Kane or Salah, Mane, whatever, and then suddenly some oddball like Connolly from Brighton at 5.2 creeps in. Now, a few weeks back, I was saying about Luke Shaw's creativity in a video I did with Andy about the free hit chip just before game week 18. I was saying that Luke Shaw was a consideration because he's posting really great creativity. And I remember lots of people in the chat there were going, Luke Shaw, you sure? And I was saying, no, yes, I am sure it is Luke Shaw. And he just transpired. He's looking great. He's looking even better than he was a couple of weeks ago.
So I should pick Connolly for my
So you
differential.
should pick Connolly.
That's what you're telling me, Jerry. Yeah?
I'm just saying, it's just one of those things. I don't want to like it to go past it to pass, and then Connolly, like he did against Spurs last season, score a couple of goals, and everyone go, oh, no one was mentioning Connolly. Well, if he does score his brace against Spurs again or whoever, we did mention him. But yeah, some other options there. But it just shows Kane for me.
You mentioned that Kane is pretty much. I mean, hey, he's top. He looks good. You've mentioned that you're not really considering anything else.
Well,
You got onto. I was going to jump in, and sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
No, all good. But you got onto the options that I was going to pull out, which are probably I have Antonio, Watkins, and Bamford in my team right now. I'd love Kane, but I don't see a reason to drop any of those 3 for Kane, especially if I can get Son. And I'd almost argue, I'm not saying don't get Kane in, but I don't see much better value right now than those 3 in terms of the underlying stats, in terms of the points they have delivered, in terms of the decent fixtures coming up for all of them. I know Watkins is bottom of your table there, and I know he's maybe the one people are out of love with most. But on your goals imminent, he's right up there. On your assists imminent, until this week, he was up there. He scored a goal and a goal that was ruled out at the weekend. He's not going to go and get Kane and Vardy numbers, but he doesn't need to.
No. Depends how you use the money as well, because I mean, it enables you to get, if we think that Liverpool are going to get better, it enables you to keep, say, Salah, and you can have Son as well, Fernandes, and you can maybe have a couple of Man City defenders in there, maybe a Robertson. You can really spread that money out. But for me, I mean, luckily I've got an injured. I say lucky. I've got a bloke in his mid-30s with a hernia with a red flag. So I mean, and I can move to Kane, so I will. But
Karam,
I don't know.
All else being even, who would you choose, Kane or Son?
Oh, if I have to pick one,
yeah,
it feels is it some I don't know. I'll probably go Kane now. I think I was more of a Son until 2 game weeks ago, but he blanked against Fulham. He got a shy assist against Sheffield United. I think Kane returned in both games. I'm not sure, but overall, I think Kane. I don't know the thing about the Brighton game is more of a Kane game or a Son game type of thing, but I still see that Kane. I think I trust Kane now with the captaincy more than Son now because Kane has been amazing with goals and assists, and I think the last 3 he has been the most consistent or the more consistent out of him and Son. So if I have to choose one, I will go Kane, but depends really who you've got injured, because to me it was like an easy decision. I did KDB to Son already, but if I had Vardy and he's injured, I'll be doing Vardy to Kane. So maybe at some point, maybe by Brighton game, there is it's a viable strategy to have both of them. I'm not sure I can have both of them by next week. Depends on what happens to my team, but I think both of them is great, and I think Kane slightly edges it to me. And speaking of the forwards, I recognize all the names that has been mentioned or in the table already, but maybe some of the old names that they are not here in the table because they have been injured, and I do mean by Calvert-Lewin, who just came back in the cup game. He did well. He scored a goal. He managed to have 4 shots on target. I know it's a cup game, maybe the opponent, blah blah, but I think Calvert-Lewin has a decent game against Newcastle in 21. So you could wait and see and what happens against Leicester, and then you get him against Newcastle and Leeds, and maybe I think there should be some double game week. I don't know, it's against City, but if that tempts you somehow, then it could be someone else you might consider. But I still think that the very cheap forward line of Antonio, Bamford, and Kane could be the next template,
Also,
if not
I mean,
the current template now.
You raised a good point about Calvert-Lewin as well, because obviously information is key at the moment with COVID. And rearranged fixtures. Southampton and Everton could have doubles before the big double game week 26, I believe. Of which case,
23?
Could be 23. Could be. In which case, I would probably move Kane on to one of Calvert-Lewin or Ings, because
worth noting Leeds could be in there as well, I think.
And Leeds as well. So suddenly there's lots more options. So if Spurs don't have a double game week, then and Southampton and Everton do. So if you're like, you said where you've got 3 strikers you don't want to move on. So say you don't have Vardy at the moment, you've got 3 strikers you don't want to move on, and then say there's a double game week announced for say Everton and their reasonable fixtures, or with Southampton. Suddenly you're going to start thinking, captaincy, who would I captain in a double game week? Would I captain one of my other strikers, or would I captain maybe Ings or Calvert-Lewin? I'd be very tempted to get one of those in.
I mean, if Everton end up with a double, James, Lucas Dean start looking good to me. That also boosts DCL potential, of course. Having James, I think Doucouré, Dean are back. That makes their team look a lot stronger and creates a lot more chances for Calvert-Lewin again.
And they are capable of having these strong games like early in the season. So
I've no doubt. I think they would be great options there, but we don't know yet. And at the moment, I don't want to leave that amount of money on my bench. I do have options, but it's a significantly weaker team if I don't have a Kane in it, or if I don't have at least a Vardy replacement of some credibility in there.
I think realistically, with these 2 questions, there are 2 very straightforward answers, and then you're kind of looking for reasons to be different. Maybe you have a good reason, which is funds or whatever, but get Kane, get Son, Bruno Fernandes if you don't. It's kind of straightforward, right?
Yeah. Basically, if you've already got Son, Kane and Fernandes, and you'd also have KDB and Vardy, and you want to move them on, then you've got options, and then that's where you start bringing in some of these other names we've been mentioning, like Watkins, Antonio, or indeed Gundogan as well.
Grealish would be if you had to. Grealish would be a good pick for me. I think he's top for chances created for the season.
Once again, as soon as Villa, I don't have any Villa assets, but as soon as Villa get a double game week, I'm hoping it's when I'm sort of in wildcard time, game week 26ish. But I would not want to go into a mini double game week where it's just Villa with a couple of games without Grealish. So I don't know whether it'd be captain.
We've mentioned someone before we go live, and I appreciate if you don't have the funds to go to Grealish. We've been almost about to go to El Ghazi, but I think Bertrand Traore could be someone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Seb is not convinced.
Oh, I'm not. He was so bad at Lyon after a good start. He was
but
so
4
bad
goals
at
in
Lyon.
6 game weeks. He could be someone. He as Josh said, like he looked really skillful player. He can score what looks like an
it's
easy
because he looks
goal.
good. It's like it's like another Traore.
Yeah, he has
Wolves.
pace. He
it
can
just
cause
looks
damage.
good. It looks dangerous.
Lyon was so happy to get rid of him. Like I know he's done well at Villa, but he started well at Lyon. They were so happy to get rid of him.
Traore's just look cool. I think it's just if you call Traore, you just look cool.
Get bonus points for just playing football stylishly.
Let's move on to the next topic. Seb, it's all about Liverpool. Now, we had a few questions about this. Yeah, what are they asking?
Absolutely. So we've covered Liverpool a couple of times already here. I think the key thing is we've seen their form drop off. Got some stats for you in a moment on that, but also their fixtures aren't looking great. And in form Liverpool, Tottenham, West Ham, Brighton, Man City, Leicester, maybe okay. And out of form Liverpool, that starts to look really, really tough. So the questions on that are quite simply, what happened to Liverpool from, I want to say, Vishnav?
Yeah.
And then we have Stilly Bonnelly. What do we do with Salah? I have him and Firmino. I mean, Salah looked a bit more painful until the weekend, but Firmino is an interesting one. And then AFSR, what to do with Salah and Mane, similar to you, Joe. They seem poor. Others such as Son and Fernandes look better. I mean, that last one, I think we've maybe answered already. If you don't have those, I'd be tempted. What do you guys think before we start digging into that?
Well, I mean, I've got Salah and Mane. I've got some stats I put up on the screen. So it's Mane's the one I'm looking to get rid of. Salah's not. I mean, when he came on, so he was benched against Burnley, so we didn't get the full 90-minute Salah treatment. He actually looked okay, and Nick Pope saved, stopped him scoring, a very good save. And meanwhile, we're looking at inspected goal involvement. Salah's still up there and amongst the midfield options there. As I mentioned, in terms, Aubameyang is at top there with nearly 3. But Bruno Fernandes is the one to get up there, 2.59. Son, 2.59. That's the expected goal involvement is 2.5 to 3 goals over the last 4 matches. Then you got the likes of Saka, Trezeguet, bear in mind this is last 4 matches, not last 4 game weeks. You've got Harvey, Barnes, Gundogan, and then Salah. So Salah's still in there. He's expected to have been involved in 2 goals over the last 4 matches. Number of goals, 0. Number of assists, 0. So in a way, I think he's been unlucky not to score more. He should have got at least 1 or 2 goals. And then you've got Mane much further down there. He's only had 1 big chance. Salah's had 3 over the last 4. Mane's the one I'd be looking to move on. Salah, I would urge patience. He scored a brace against Manchester United in the cup, and I know it's the FA Cup, but it's Manchester United, and it was an important game.
They both played with almost a full.
Yeah, it wasn't like he scored 2 goals against Chorley or something, or Cheltenham. It's not the same. This is Manchester United and a good Manchester United. So
I think even though I believe Salah's XGI for this season is about 1.56, something like that.
Yeah.
Even after that, the 2.2 you've got there in the last, per minute, and then you've got 2.2. That's not what I meant at all. 150 XGI per minute. You've got 2.2 in the last few there. He's gone up to about 250 in the last few, but it's still not terrible. It just takes him down from that elite and puts him in the sort of mid-table. But like you said, with an asset like this, patience is often the way. If they're not scoring well, we know they have the pedigree. We've probably got other fires to fight, like De Bruyne and whatnot. I wouldn't be rushing to get rid of Salah.
No.
Mane's the one that looks risky for me.
Yeah, I mean, now Karam, you got Salah in. Is it all right? You got Salah in for the double game week. Are you going to keep him? Going to show patience or?
I like a comment in the chat. It's mainly about Robertson, but it can easily apply to Salah. From Suraj, he's saying. He says Robertson, but I can also say Salah is like a Bentley car. When you buy it, you have to keep the faith. So, to me, Salah is an easy keep. However, even if Suraj was referring to Robertson, with City's next 3 fixtures, I still think, and all of them are 6 million or less, I still think that it's worth a move if you look to push up the funds to someone like Barty to Kane, for example, or somebody else. I think the City defense now, for the next 3 at least, is better than the Liverpool defense. But Salah or Mane, I think they are still worth a keep, especially Salah. When he came on against Burnley, he looked really dangerous in the moments when he had a few shots and so. And as you say, he scored against Manchester United, and he could have an hat-trick and a couple of other chances. And it reminds me early in this season when we doubted Man City attack and what happened to them. They've been riding 1-0 and the options are not strong enough. And all of a sudden, they exploded, especially KDB. I still think that Liverpool has the same capability. They're gonna run for the title race. I think they will bounce sooner than enough. And it could be Tottenham, a game where we can't really predict what's gonna happen. But I can see goals in this game. Currently, neither of these teams can defend, basically. So I can see goals from both ends. So I wouldn't worry too much if I have Kane against Liverpool or Salah against Tottenham. West Ham then, and Brighton before it gets tough again against City and Leicester. So the next 3, they don't really look to me that bad. Although on the fixture ticker, they are the worst, the next 4 or next 5 in terms of defense, and the second or the third worst in terms of attack. But it's Liverpool, especially Salah. He's capable of scoring, and he is on penalties. So I would keep him. The thing is, if I want to sell Salah, where would I go? I have no KDB. Sterling, I'm not convinced. Son, I might have on, and Son, I would own another way. Fernandes is there, so I don't really know where to go. So I will just keep him.
I think Robertson is the top scoring defender. He, for this season, has the best expected assists, I believe. And even in just the last 6, he still is second top for minutes per expected assist. He's beaten by Cedric, of all people, but possibly just due to minutes played there. João Cancelo comes just after him. So I think maybe, if you've got both Robertson and Trent, these fixtures aren't looking great. But one of them, I've got just Robbo. I'm not really considering getting rid of him unless I have to. I'll take a few assists. I'll take maybe a clean sheet or 2, and I'll keep him for the long term.
I mean, I hope this is one of those moments, like what we were saying about with Leeds. I think people will go, Leeds got beaten by Brighton on a ploughed field. therefore I'm going to get rid of Bamford ahead of Newcastle. Please do, because then that will help my rank. Because I think he's going to do well, and it's the same with Salah. It's like remove Salah. It's one of those moments. I haven't seen enough to remove Salah. I know it sounds like we should be. Liverpool have been out of sorts, but I think he's been unlucky. I think his stats have been okay, and I think seeing him score a brace, and the first goal was so well taken so sharp as well in an important game like that in the FA Cup. I hope people do remove him, and so his ownership goes down to about 1%, and hooray for us owners. But
so let me give you one last thing on Liverpool that I found looking over Twitter. In the last 4 seasons we have here, they have overperformed their expected goals per game. So how many goals we'd expect them to score each game versus how many they've actually scored, by 0.4, 0.4 and 0.3. Which does really add up to 14, 15 odd goals over the season. This season so far, 0. They haven't overperformed at all. They haven't underperformed. They haven't overperformed. And then the same for goals against. So for the last 4 seasons, same ratio again. Overperformed by 0.1, 0.2, 0.2, which leaves them about 6, 7, 8 goals better off than we'd expect them to be. This season, 0. So what we're possibly seeing, and I know there was a lot of discussion, especially over the summer in the stats community, about why is it that Liverpool are, doing better than we think they should so consistently? Are the models failing to find something about them? And maybe they were, Klopp's style, the way they played was quite unique. Or are we expecting regression? Now, I wouldn't say going to 0 is necessarily a regression. You might expect it to go even further. But they've certainly come off a little bit. And that ties up really nicely with the eye test, right? We've seen that. We've seen Trent and Robbo still creating huge numbers, but at the weekend, was it Trent lost possession a silly number of times, put in 14 crosses, and it came to nothing.
Yeah.
They're trying, it's just not coming off. And that's maybe that just intangible, we've won the league, we've been up there for so long. They've brought Thiago in, they've lost Van Dijk, even though I don't think Van Dijk is the reason. Maybe just that guy in the dressing room or that change in the team makeup has just knocked them off. It was probably a very carefully balanced team.
There's another funny stat, which also reflects sort of what you've just mentioned. Since their goal against West Brom, the rest of the game, Newcastle, Southampton, Man United, and Burnley, they have managed 87 shots without scoring a goal. That's insane. I don't really think that will last longer.
Yeah.
How many more shots they need to score? They are world-class strikers, so it's coming for them.
I think Salah, a bit like Son, he's hit the post a few times when he could have scored. We know he puts them away. We know Salah doesn't convert. We saw, Mane there probably coming out worse on the stats, but we know Mane overperforms, whereas Salah about hits, if not underperforms. The stats I messed up a bit earlier, where Salah's minutes per XGI for the season are 158, and in the last 6 are 232. Sounds like a massive drop-off. It still puts him something like 10th. It's not a disaster. If they turn it around, those are the assets I want to hold again.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at some of those fixtures. We mentioned about Liverpool's mixed fixtures coming up. We'll have a look at these 4 fixtures. As ever, we mention Football Index for these when we look at the next 4 fixtures coming up. That is a game where you can buy and sell shares in players using fancy football knowledge with the aim to make a profit. Looking at these fixtures here, we have Fulham. Top of the difficulty season ticker. They are very easy fixtures according to the ticker. So they've got Brighton, West Brom, Leicester, then West Ham. So I still think slightly mixed for those last 2, but definitely Brighton and West Brom are good fixtures for Fulham there. And Fulham have been doing well both in defence and attack.
Yeah, Ariola has been very good in goalkeeping. Although he caused a mistake for the last 2 goals. So, I think Cavalier or someone else could be
so
great
for me,
one.
He appeared on one of your tables, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, he did. Cavaliero is there in amongst the best midfielders in terms of expected goal involvement, but also getting those big chances. Lookman is another to look at there. Pardon the pun. Leicester are second. They've got Everton, Leeds, Fulham, and Wolves, and obviously Seb would say mixed fixtures there with Leeds there, but nevertheless. That's why I wanted Vardy to be fit and not have a blooming hernia. They're good fixtures for Leicester. I'm keeping Justin. Man City third, West Brom, Sheffield United, Burnley, and then they got Liverpool. So we mentioned their strong fixtures there and why we're all interested in City assets, particularly in defence. Crystal Palace. I'm a Mitchell owner. He's back in favour, has been for a couple of weeks, so I'm quite happy about that. He's got West Ham, Wolves, Newcastle, Leeds. It wouldn't completely surprise me if he got 3 to 4 clean sheets in amongst them. But nevertheless, with Zaha back, Palace ones to consider. Newcastle, terrible form at the moment. Great fixtures though. Well, are they good? I don't know. Well, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Everton and Leeds, I would doubt their ability to keep clean sheets there. But yeah, it's form over fixtures for me. But Villa ticking along very nicely. Burnley, Southampton, West Ham and Arsenal. So they're quite strong fixtures there for Villa. And Chelsea, we don't know what we're going to get. New management, Wolves and Burnley up next. Then Tottenham, then Sheffield United. So some nice fixtures. And I think under the new management, I think Chelsea are for me, they're all ones to watch. They're the one I really want to watch. Because if they do
manager bounce,
if they do get a manager that knows the players more with Bundesliga experience, I don't know. Will it mean Mason Mount finally gets dropped? I don't know what's going to happen.
Do we think Thomas Tuchel is enough to really pick them up? We know they've got good players. I know the German link gets talked about a lot, but we'll see about that. There's a lot of English people that I don't get on with, so I don't know. He played at PSG. He played mostly a 4-3-3, 4-2-2-2 a couple of times, which notably is the thing Timo Werner excelled in at Leipzig. We know he likes a high press. A lot of his possession went down the left, but that's where Neymar was, so maybe that's a slight distraction. I think he's more experienced than Lampard. I think he's possibly a better manager than Lampard, but he's not Allegri. He's not Nagelsmann, who are the people they were after. It's an interesting one. It could be an opportunity to try and take advantage of something other people aren't on, a differential if we like. But it's not like they've just brought in someone who's going to win them the title in a year or something like that. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a watch for me, but I am watching. I'm dismissed Chelsea assets at all with the new management. Manchester United, Sheffield United are coming up next, and then they've got Arsenal, Southampton and Everton at home. So they've got some really strong fixtures. West Ham a bit mixed with Liverpool in there, but they do have Villa, Fulham and Crystal Palace. But further down, we're in a slightly lucky position that two teams we're not really interested in, Wolves and Sheffield United, are bottom there. Wolves have Chelsea, Palace, Arsenal and Leicester, and Sheffield United have Manchester United, then Man City. How bad is that? Then they got West Brom, of which Sam Allardyce's lot will fancy themselves. Then they've got Chelsea. So, I don't know. Just before we move on, any sort of thoughts about those fixtures? I've sort of brought out some thoughts there, but
we've mentioned already a lot of these names from the top teams like the City, the Villa, the Leicester, but the team that caught my eye is actually Chelsea, and already before I learned about the Lampard sacking, I really thought that the next 5 for them, I can see 3 to 4 clean sheets. So the Chilwell, the Rodiger is a name that it might be a bargain. I heard there was an article where Tuchel himself wanted Rodiger this transfer window before he got sacked from PSG, and Rodiger, he just stepped in and he just got his place back potentially in the main 11 at 4-5. Can you believe it? If he gets his place back and the trust from Tuchel, I know there is kind of the German link between him and Tuchel, between him and Rodiger and Kai Havertz and Werner potentially. So maybe look out for the first team sheet against Wolves, and see who are the 11 that he will pick. Probably the thing about him, he's very tactical manager, and he doesn't really. From what I've heard, I didn't watch a lot of the League One game when he was managing PSG, but what I heard, and everybody can check again, but he's not a Pep, he's not a rotation guy. So whoever he picks, probably those are the players that he will stick with. About the formation, he used a lot 3-4-3 as well. So the
Oh,
fullbacks could be wing backs. Could be really
Did he use that a lot? Like, I know he used it against Dortmund in the Champions League and they got destroyed. Did he use it a lot in the league? I thought it was mostly
I
4-3-3.
I checked about 15 games, the last 15 games for him with PSG. He used the 3-4-3 mostly when Neymar was out for some reason
Okay, because I know Marquinhos played in midfield.
in
But
midfield.
he would drop in between the centre backs, creating that kind of ball carrier that comes out, which means the fullbacks
Yeah.
could go. I don't know if they started like that or if it kind of morphed to
Yeah,
in game.
yeah. In some games it was Florenzi and Bernard or Di Maria as a acting wing back, but more attacking. And it feels like that. Bernard, we know him as an attacking fullback from his days, I think, with Bayern. But at the very end, the fullback could be really, really juicy options, and they could be the best cover for the attack and the defense at the same time. We are yet to see which formation Tuchel will implement, but we know Chelsea already is a team that is used to the three at the back, so they can easily.
it's
That would be interesting with the wing
I
backs.
was going to say
wonder-
with the fixtures in terms of getting this one, I'm watching them a bit with Wolves. I would like to get a Chelsea asset in there, and I don't know what's going to happen with them. But then they got Burnley, so Mr. Fancy Pants manager coming in, but he's got Nick Pope, so to deal with there. So hard luck. And then Tottenham. So what's going to happen there? And then you've got Sheffield United, and so then game week 23 is when me as a dullard manager will think, right, I've assessed that Werner's now amazing. I've assessed that Rudiger is just incredible, and etc. etc. Or perhaps is it Jorginho could be back in the fold? Is he still a thing at Chelsea?
I think he was one. It was him and Rudiger who Tuchel wanted them in PSG. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jorginho starts to play again. Just hoping he doesn't take penalties.
If he set up the same, I was trying to think who could do that Marquinhos role. Whether you'd have I don't think Kante could. So whether you've got a Kovacic or Jorginho, like you say, it's the same problem with Lampard, right? I don't see how all those players fit in the team. Someone's got to miss out. Maybe Mason Mount isn't nailed as he used to be.
No. But yeah, it's that game week 23 against Sheffield United. I believe I'll be packed full of information by then, and we'll make an informed Chelsea decision. But I'm probably going to wait till then, unless they do something spectacular.
And it comes around quickly. We've got so many games that even though it's 3-4 game weeks,
it will. It's
only a couple of weeks.
It's a couple of weeks.
Does Zoom have any experience to play in the middle? Maybe he would be the third centre back. I don't know.
Just before I ask you, Seb, about a differential, I just want to mention that you can sign up to Football Index today. They've got a 7-day, £500 money-back guarantee, and there's a link in the description below to sign up, as well as a link. Check out the full terms and conditions. This is for 18 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. To check out begambleaware.org, and there's a link for this in the description as well. So yes, I got Antonio last week because I'm amazing. Not that he was the most obvious pick, but anyway, he did really well with 18 points.
That was an easy one.
Under 5%,
So,
only because he's been injured
Seb,
forever.
Next 4 game weeks, under 5% owned. Who is the low owned gem that you're recommending?
Sure.
Sure.
So yeah, when I was looking around, there was no one that jumped out at me. Now maybe, hey, chat, shout at me if I'm missing someone. Go nuts. If I say it before I say my name, I'll steal it. But there's no one that I thought was amazing. I know, Karam, you like Rudiger. I won't steal that. But I think that could be a good shout. That could be cheeky. Looking at the fixtures, which we've just gone through, I like Villa, especially. I don't mind Everton. It's not perfect. But trying to find that player that's just under 5%. James is about 8%. Matt Target was over 5%. So just trying to find that key player that I want to pick. I wasn't sure. And so the two I've come down to is Hakeem Ziyech at Chelsea, who I've talked about enough times before, but it ties in with some okay fixtures for Chelsea. We know he has good form in the past. His stats are fine. He's at about, funnily enough, he's a similar number to Salah now with a 250 XGI per minute or so. But even if he stayed at that, it would be okay. We think he could improve. And then at Villa, I mentioned Target, Matty Cash. He has created a chance every 94 minutes versus Target's 117, I think. Got the same defensive fixtures, and he's about 1% owned, or 1.7% owned or something. Now, I don't want to pick a player just because they're, a tiny percentage. But if you're looking to shift your team around, if you've got to lose KDB or something, Ziyech looks decent in midfield, a bit different maybe, but still a good pick. But the one for me would be Matty Cash.
Well,
I think you can take advantage of those Villa fixtures. We've got Martinez in goal. We've got Target. He actually looks better for getting assists than Matt Target. So I'm going to go with Matty Cash.
Is he worth the 0.4 more than Target? I know he has a little better stats, as you say, but is he worth more than Target?
If I could pick a player over 5%, I might pick Target. But also, do we have to worry about money right now? We had questions earlier talking about, I've got 5 million in the bank.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and you can pick a defender, pick the one with the better stats.
if you're moving KDB onto Gundogan, you have got about 5 million in the bank. So
7 million.
yeah,
Interesting one.
Yeah, good
one. Good one. Yeah.
I'd say good one, but I mean,
Thanks.
I'm quite a boring manager. But a Villa defender, when Martinez would probably be my favoured option because of the save points and Target for the assist potential, which is coming to fruition there. I don't know if Cash would be the one I would target there, unless they had a double game week coming up and I wanted to double up on the Villa defence. But I think Martinez would possibly be my favoured option over Cash, but nevertheless it is an option there. I mean, why particularly him over Martinez? Is Martinez
obviously in terms of percentage ownership?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh
have
yeah,
that
of course.
choice.
Yeah, obviously being a differential.
In terms of, but if I was recommending for a team, no, I think it's fair. I'm not going to say to someone go pick Cash over Martinez. Maybe a double up is on. I think the fixtures are okay. I think everyone has Martinez.
I think it's been one of those incidents though where I think someone was sharing some things about our differential picks on social media, and I've got like a rare green for Antonio and it's mostly reds. But I think you could indeed get, looking at Burnley, Southampton, West Ham and Arsenal, indeed there could be 4 clean sheets there. There could be 4 clean sheets, in which case you would have a nice green for those 4 fixtures. So yeah, it's it's dullard, but it's good. So,
like I said, I definitely think there's probably something better out there. I'm guessing Bernardo Silva or someone is probably very lowly owned, but I don't know. I like that Cash could get into a team, and I think it's solid. Like you say, there's a good chance of defensive returns, and maybe there's an assist in there.
Definitely. Well, let's move on to our transfer and captaincy plans. So I'll go first. This is me. So I've got Edison in goal. I'm going to roll out a 4-3-3 this week, I think. I've got Justin, Stones, Kufau and Dallas. And then I've got Mane, Fernandes, who I'm going to captain, Salah. And then up front, I've got Antonio, Bamford and Vardy's going to become Kane. Now, I'm not wavering on Fernandes' captaincy. I'm really not wavering about benching any of those defenders either. I'm a bit worried. I've got Antonio playing, so Mitchell is going to be the one to make way on there. But it's Souček. I have played Souček in my first 11 since game week 1. I've owned him since game week 1. I've played him through thick and thin, through his 2 points, through his mighty 11 points. Whatever he gets, I've played him. So this is the first week I'm going to bench Souček. Now I know, Seb, you were talking before we came on air about Souček and Antonio and West Ham at the moment. So am I right to bench Souček for the first time this season?
A goal incoming.
Yeah.
I know Crystal Palace's set piece defense isn't great off the top of my head, so maybe there's some threat there. But in terms of your face, then, like, in terms of the combination with Antonio, I know a lot of people were talking about, is Antonio coming in damaging Souček's point potential? Maybe. At the beginning of the season, this again is trying to describe a heat map for an audio medium, but at the beginning of the season, when both Antonio and Souček played 90 minutes, or nearly 90 minutes, 89 minutes together, Souček's heat map looked really, really good. A lot of touches in the area, not just from set pieces, but in open play as well. This was when they were playing 5 at the back. The very first game, I think it was against Newcastle, his heat map didn't look like that, and they were playing 4 at the back. Now, again, we've seen Antonio now come back in, but West Ham have played 4 at the back in both those matches, I believe, which I think is maybe the bigger factor in what Souček is doing, rather than having Antonio in the team. With 5 at the back, he appears, and in every single instance he played with Declan Rice as well, it appears he can get further forward with 5 at the back. But I wonder with a 4, he's got to sit a bit more. and therefore we're just not seeing him get forward.
I just see a comment in the chat. Keep up, Joe Burt. He says benching Souček but playing an injured Vardy. What?
It's all right. After my differential, I was having a look at the chat, and it was like, there are
If
so
it had
many
been
good options, and I'm an idiot. Yep, fair enough.
Opening his ears a little bit at the beginning, I would have said Vardy's going to become Kane. So in fact, I will be playing Kane over Souček, not an injured Vardy. Keep up, Joe. So yeah, Seb, I think, I don't know. I'm going to bench you for the first time. I guess Soufal could make way for Souček, but then he might get an assist. I'm going to play the Leeds guys though against Newcastle. And
I mean, if you go through your team, you can't not, like you say, Soufal. Maybe just check out. I don't know what Palace's attacking numbers are. I'm going to assume not amazing. They have no Zaha. I feel like Soufal just has a better chance of returning. You're basically banking on Souček getting an attacking return that while he does get them, I think pinpointing them is difficult, as you've probably seen, right? It's pretty random.
I mean, I mean, essentially, if I played Souček, I'd be playing double West Ham attack against. Now, looking at the big chances conceded over the last 4 against currently one of the best defences. Crystal Palace have conceded just 3 big chances. Only Arsenal, West Ham, Leicester and Man City have conceded fewer over the last 4. They have conceded 5 goals, but it would argue that they've actually been unlucky there. So those stats there say to me, I'm happy to play an attacker, being Antonio, but I'd be a bit wary to play 2. So this could be a 0-0. It could be 1-0 to West Ham. I mean, it could even be the other way. It could be 1-0 to Crystal Palace. I can't see this being high scoring.
Antonio can score against anyone.
Yeah. I mean,
Can I say something? Okay. Yeah, go ahead first, and then.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, I was just reiterating that I wouldn't want to play double West Ham against Palace.
Yeah, I look at your team, and I would have played 10 of the 11 as you put them here. But have you considered Souček over Justin? Because I think Everton is the team that is more capable to score than Crystal Palace. So you will end up playing the 3 West Ham, and I think it's a good fixture for them.
It's the old swords and shields thing, but it's also Justin's good and got assists in him. And I also think Leicester's defence has been really good. I know Everton have, got their main creative players back. But people who don't own Justin may have noticed something that happens to their rank during Leicester games. It falls. And I noticed that, and then I got him in, and suddenly my rank went up. He is getting some really good scores for his price. And I think the double game week showed, also recent weeks have showed that there's a lot of value in defence. There's a lot of defenders I want to play at the moment. But yes, I do understand. Yeah, Justin, Soufal, Souček are vying for a place, and at the moment Souček's missing out. Yeah.
Wow, he's on by a quarter of the game.
Yeah.
What, James Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, how is this happening? They're getting points from some other Leicester player or whatever. They're going, what is happening here? Well, it's the James Justin effect. It's funny, we watch on Twitter, people who don't own James Justin, everyone says, I hate this guy. I hate James Justin. And the thing is,
I owned him at the beginning of the season.
Get him in.
I wildcarded him out because Ricardo Pereira was coming back, right?
Yeah.
He's totally fit and good to play.
I know. But who knows? Pereira could end up in midfield. We don't know what's going to happen without Barty.
That'd be nice.
Enough of my Souček fears. Karam, you have Martinez in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Soufal, Diaz, Stones. Oh, you got 4 at the back as well. 4-4-2 with Rashford, Fernandes captain, Son, Salah, and up front Antonio, Bamford. Souček first sub as well. So similar thinking to me. Is this pretty much how it's going to stay? Is anyone coming in, out, or is anyone already coming?
Yeah, probably. I don't really think that Souček can fit in or can be ahead of any one of the 11 unless Rashford is out. And I've taken already I've used already my transfers, and I've taken a hit already. So I've done KDB to Son and Jamal Lewis to Stones, and I did that purely because of his potential of his price rise. He could have 2 or 3 price rises, but yeah, he didn't rise only once, so maybe tonight another one. Anyway, so those 11. Rashford is a doubt. absolutely terrible buy for me. Like for the last 4 game weeks, he has done absolutely nothing, wasteful money. But I have a strong bench, and I still need to sort out the order because it's gonna be Holding or Southcheck first. Adams for me is the expensive broster. He's just he's living in the third sub.
Yeah.
I still didn't get a chance to sell him yet. Captain Fernandez, I've been seriously considering captaining Diaz, because I have a feeling that we will grind 1-0 games in the next 3, and that would definitely mean that the defenders will grab the bonus points. And in terms of minutes per PBS, baseline PBS, Diaz is second to Cancelo. I think Cancelo is managing 4.8. I'm not exactly sure of the number, but Diaz is managing a BBS line every 5.1 minutes, while Stones is managing every 5.6 minutes. So there isn't much in it, but it just shows if none of them is scoring or assisting, Diaz is more likely to get bonus points. But I'm speaking about between 6 to 9 points. Fernandez, when he scored the free kick yesterday, I was like, no, put it back on him. His EO would be like 160, 170%. I'm guessing. And I would look idiot if Diaz scores another own goal and Fernandez holds. So I'll probably stick there, but it's very close, Diaz and Fernandez.
Yeah, there is there is that school of thought with the captaincy, isn't it? It's like people are looking at this game week as a chance to be more maverick with the captaincy.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this is not the week to be maverick. When you've got a really good player in Fernandez who is rested from the cup against a poor side at home, vying for the top of the table, with a realistic chance of staying up there. He clearly didn't like being benched as well against Liverpool in the cup. I just think this is not the week. The week to do it is when there's a massive split and when you've got lots of teams, big heavy hitters playing each other. But I
think if I have Cancelo, I'll be slightly more tempted to captain him.
Yeah.
Because he's way more attacking, and he had his rest in the cup. But again, it's probably the wrong game week to think about captaining a defender, even if it's from City against Sheffield, against West Brom. But -4 was taken, Stones and Son in, and we see how it goes.
Yeah, no, well, good players, good moves. Seb, let's move on to your team. You've got a 3-4-3 currently, but De Bruyne's in there. So you've got Martinez, Stones and Cancelo, Robertson, then Saka, De Bruyne, Fernandez captaincy, Salah, Antonio, Watkins, Bamford up front. That 3 strikers you were talking about. Souček first sub, brilliant. I'm in good company. I guess two things to KDB. Who is going to come in for KDB, and will it generate some other moves? And are you set on Fernandez captain?
So, firstly, KDB to start is obvious, right? I should probably just do that. Do
it now. Do it
live.
I
feel like I've been trying to find a reason not to. There's a lot of options out there. I think you mentioned when we're looking at your team, there are so many good options in defence. I don't have half those options. I like my defence, but I don't have half those options. Same with midfield. Same with attack. I don't have Kane, and if I could have a 4th striker, I would. But I like my front 3. I think I've just been treading water, thinking, can I do something clever here? I think the problem would be being too clever. I probably should just do KDB to Son and be happy with that. Saka, Souček, not delighted by them. I kind of want Grealish, despite having Watkins. That doesn't bother me. They're their own players. They'll get points. Grealish is top for chances created. I like their fixtures. So that was a temptation. Maybe I'll do it for Saka or Souček. That's getting worse. Souček.
Yeah.
Just falling off a cliff. I can't decide which of those 2 to play, really, which is also one of the reasons I might transfer them.
Yeah.
And then captain, Fernandez again, just seems like the don't be too clever and end up dropping 100k. Cancelo really, really tempts me, but it feels like one of those, you were talking about creating memories earlier.
Yeah.
This would feel like creating a boast. And I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm that guy who captained Cancelo, aren't I clever?
The best FPL memories are ones you don't set out to create them. No one set out. apart from Red Lightning, who captained John Stones. But no one set out thinking, oh, John Stones is going to get me a brace in a double game week and get 27 points. No one set out with that, so it's a surprise element to it.
I massively respect that captaining John Stones, but that's one of the ones a bit like, to take us back to the beginning of the chat.
Yeah.
KDB triple captain, bad outcome, but it felt like a good decision.
Yeah, I would.
Captaining John Stones, I respect it, but is that
Probably-
is that an outcome you can replicate? I really don't think it is. Therefore,
Yeah.
what is a good shout?
No, probably
FPL is a
the
game
aim-
of predictions.
Yeah, probably the aim was 12 times 2, 24. That was the target of having Diaz captain or Stones captain. But full credit to who got the 54 points.
Oh yeah, don't get me
Massive
wrong.
game.
Beat me, so fair enough. But I'm not interested in what happened last week. I want to predict what's going to happen next week.
Just before we go, there's just a question in the chat that's intrigued me from Xavier Bush. Who starts, please? Help. He's got Pope and Martinez, and they play each other. That's quite like that question.
I tweeted something like...
Who to play out, Pope
I
and
see this
Martinez?
game. Yeah, I tweeted something like, I can't see this game being a nil-nil with Pope 10 points and Martinez 9. Both of them are grabbing the bonus. And
I would.
it could be...
I was just looking at Rate My Team. Pope comes out at 4.1. Martinez comes out at 4.1.
Oh my god.
It's a tough
That
one.
is-
It's such a tough one. I would personally go for Pope because Burnley's attack is nowhere near as good as Villa's attack. And so Martinez and Pope are great goalkeepers. And I look at that and think save points. And I think either of them may concede. But if you're looking at getting bonus and save points, clean sheet or not, I think Pope would be the one in
If you
this
think
one.
both of them will get clean sheets and you have a strong bench,
Yeah.
I'm just saying out loud, consider a bench boost.
What? So okay. What do you think this? What do you think the score is going to be in that game?
0-0 for me.
No,
see
yeah.
the 0-0.
0-0 or
I see the
or
easiest
1-0.
0-0.
0-0 or 1-0 to one of them.
Yeah.
So if it's 0-0, it's probably Pope because we think he'll concede more shots.
Yeah, he will
Yeah,
get 3
yeah.
saves, 4 saves, and 3 bonus points, and
If-
maybe
if it- if
Martinez
it's-
follows suit.
If it's 1-1, we think Pope. We know Pope gets the bonus as well, like you said, because the Burnley defenders. But I don't know. Villa are good defensively and obviously better attacking wise. I think there's a better chance Martinez keeps a clean sheet, but there's a better chance Pope outscores him if they both keep clean sheets or neither do.
Yeah,
So
I think-
maybe just tipping Pope's way.
I think the thing with Burnley, they give up a chance, but they don't give up big chances, and that's where they are good at because they allow Pope to save these long range shots. And although that it might be the fact that Villa's attack is better than Burnley might actually slightly boost the chances of Pope hauling this game.
Definitely. I would go for the one that you think is going to get more save points if you're unsure of a clean sheet. But in this case, it's a tough one. I thought it was a great question because he's got himself the 2 best goalkeepers of the season, and they play each other. So that is a real tizzy. So this is not going to happen often for him in a season.
You 1-1, guys.
Yeah. So good luck with that decision, Xavier. But I think Pope just might edge
Go
it.
with Matty Cash. He's gonna score a long shot.
Just
There
before
you go.
just before we go, I just want to remind people that we've had loads of stats being read out and in picture form, and they're all in the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. There's tons of Opta-driven data there, lots of things like the comparison tool, Rate My Team, which you've just mentioned there, Seb, and of course the goals imminence table that has also got a mention as well. Do check that out. But in the meantime, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye all.